Hey friends! So it's a very hot day outside today. It's about 37 degrees Celsius out there. Not yet, but it's because it's still early morning, but I've spent the morning in the garden just doing a little bit of harvesting and watering the plants and just getting everything watered and ready for a hot day. So I can be inside to do a few cooking things with you guys. So welcome to the kitchen. Today I'm going to, firstly, I'm not sure if we'll get around to many things today. We'll see what we get to. But firstly, we're going to make some pumpkin scones. I've made a few of these before, so this is a tried and true recipe that I follow. And I will leave that link down below. So firstly, I've got all my ingredients out and ready to go. I will just let you know though, I've already pre-done my pumpkin when my daughter was a few months ago, 6 months, when she was starting on purees. I just made a whole bunch extra and just froze it. So this is extra pumpkin puree that I had for her. So now I'm using that for my scones since she doesn't have purees anymore. She's a little bit older and eats finger food. And the scones are really good for her too. She loves the scones. So if you're into baby-led weaning too, then these scones are good for your toddlers as well. There's not too much sugar in it, so that's good. Now let's get into it. Okay, so I've just got the scales out because we need to weigh out. Okay, so this recipe is I think only makes 12, but I'm doubling the recipe because I've got all of this pumpkin puree that I need to get rid of. So I'm just doubling it so I can get rid of most of that. Now, so I'm going to weigh out my butter. So this is softened butter, ready to go. It needs to be softened and chopped, which I think it's gonna be too soft, but that'll be fine. Get some of that in there. Yeah, it's pretty soft. So we need, because I'm doubling it, normally you'd need 60 grams, but doubling it, so it's going to be 120 grams today. Hopefully I've got enough. As you can tell from the hot weather, the butter is very soft. Just get my spatula. Yeah. Perfect. 120 grams there. Next we've got sugar. So we've got the butter in there, and to that we just need to add half a cup of caster sugar, or just your fine sugar. It's a bit stuck. I don't often cook too much with sugar, so probably why it's a little bit clumped together. Still good though. So the recipe calls for 1/4 cup, but obviously I'm doubling everything, so it's half a cup of the sugar. Now we just need to blend the butter and the sugar together with a hand blender to get it all mixed up together till it's light and fluffy. So I've just got my mixer and we're just going to whisk that around for a few minutes. If we turn the power on. that back all together. Alright, that'll look pretty good. Okay, now that that's all light and fluffy, we're now going to add pumpkin and 2 eggs. Obviously doubling it, so 2 eggs in this one. Mixing that egg up a little bit to break it up. All right, and then we're adding 1 cup. 1 cup of the pumpkin puree. Normally would ask for only half a cup, but doubling it, so 1 whole cup in there. Try and get all the good stuff out. All right, and then just give that a little mix. Starts to look a bit funny. I think because because I had my pumpkin in the fridge, I think it's starting to just harden the butter a little bit. So that's why it looks a bit funny, and that it's not looking like it's not mixing in properly. But it all comes together in the end, so it's all right. All right. Now that's all mixed. Okay, so now we're just going to sift the flour and the salt into the mixture. I don't think my salt will go through the sifter. We use Celtic salt in our house, so yep, I don't think that's gonna sift. That's all right. Now, so the normal recipe, if you're not doubling it, would call for 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So obviously doubling it, so we need 5 cups. Okay, so 5 cups of flour in there, sifted. Honestly, you don't need to sift it. Last time I made these, I totally forgot I had to sift it and I just chucked it straight in there and it came out just fine. So, do or don't, your choice. Maybe I'll let you know once we've cooked these to see if it is any difference or not. All right. So mix the salt and the flour into the wet mixture. Just get it all mixed. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we'll be adding the milk into that. So again, calls for half a cup of milk, but doubling it, so we are going to use a full cup of milk. Also, this does work to be non-dairy if you don't want to add milk. You can also add your nut milks of any kind, oat milk, almond milk, whatever you have on hand, just use it. You don't have to be dairy milk at all. And we'll just use the same cup we use for the flour. Alright. Now we just gradually add it a little bit at a time. Stirring as we go, getting it all into the mixture. Now the last time I made it, it seemed to be a bit too much milk. It was very wet. So I ended up adding some extra flour so it wasn't so wet. Because you just kind of want it to all mix in and come together, but you don't want it to be a sticky mess that you can't sort of touch it. All right, thinking that's looking pretty good. I think it's time to get in there with my hands though. And we'll have to put some flour on the surface so we can tip that out and work with it. Okay, with some clean hands, we're just gonna get into it and just bring it all together. Yeah, see, it's still very wet and sticky. And I didn't even add all the milk. I've still got a fair bit of milk here left. So I'm thinking, don't use it all if you don't have to, because that's just a sticky mess. All right, I'm just gonna get some flour onto the surface. All right, bring it together, just give it a little knead. Again, you definitely need the flour on your surface because otherwise it will just get stuck everywhere. like my fingers. All right, we're just bringing it together. And then you don't need a rolling pin or anything. Just squash it out with the palms of your hands. Okay, so you can decide how thick you want this. I don't do it too thick. They do rise in the oven, probably double in size, so I like mine a little bit thinner. I don't like them too doughy when I eat. I do like to be able to taste what you put on top of it. So yeah, however thickness you want. They do say 1 to 2 or 2 centimeters thick, so maybe just under an inch. But honestly, you do it how thick you want them. Looks beautiful. All right, so because I double batch this too, I bake them all, and then once they've cooled down, I put them in a bag and freeze half of them, so that, you know, at a later date, if we've got people coming over or we need some snacks for the kids or something, it's just an easy thing to pull out of the freezer either the day before or whatever, so they're defrosted, or have them cut open already before you freeze them. So then all you have to do is chuck them on a tray, chuck them in the oven to heat them up for a little bit, and then if you want them warm, and heat serve them with butter and jam. All right, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so just quickly, I forgot to tell you to preheat your oven at the beginning. So get that preheated to 220 degrees Celsius. Not sure what that is Fahrenheit, sorry. So get that preheated. Look, I don't have to preheat my oven. I've got a gas oven, so it pretty much is hot pretty much straight away. So that's just on now. So while I'm doing this, it's gonna get hot, so it'll be fine. Now, what I use to make the circles, obviously you can make them any shape you want. I just make them circles. And all I do is just use a glass. I just put it in some of flour and chuck it in. Now, don't twist it, because when you twist it, it sort of, I guess, closes off the edge. Just press straight down. I like to do one side before the other, because you can see it puffs up with the pressure. But yeah, if you twist, it might seal the edges, which then prevents the proper rising. So just straight down, or one side before the other. Don't twist. All right, and that looks like that's all we're gonna get from the first round. Easiest thing I like to do is just pull this whole thing off. And then it's easier to pick up the rounds. And then you go again with the extra dough. I've got my tray set up, ready to go with some baking paper on them. So you can just start grabbing these, hopefully they're not stuck to your bench, and start sticking them on a tray. Now if they get stuck to the bench, just use one of these Easiest way to get them off. Now you can clump these all together or you can space them out how I have. It doesn't really matter. They're all going to cook the same. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to go again. Get some more flour on your surface. Go again. Smush it all out to the thickness that you like. And just keep going until all that dough is gone. And in the end, I just make one little wonky one with the last bit of leftover. It's not an exact circle like the rest, but you may use up all the dough. So, uh-oh. Should have put flour on that one. See how I've just got sort of this small amount? Kind of just gonna bring it together, roll it into a ball and just flatten it out, and that'll be the last one. It'll be a funny one, but that's okay. Still good. All right. Before I forget, before I put these in the oven, just use a bit of the milk and just spread it on there. Lightly coat some milk on the top. Now, just to get these in the oven, they go for about 15 minutes or until light brown. Yeah, about 15 minutes. All right, so I've just pulled them out the oven. And here they are. That was the funny one that didn't have a shape, but he still looks good. See how the sides rise up like that? You wouldn't get that if you twisted the cup. See, it depends how you like them. These flat ones, obviously, if you like them to rise up like these ones here, hot, then obviously make them a little bit thicker. I don't mind them a bit flat, and cutting them in half, because then they're not too doughy and it's not so much bread in your mouth. So there they are, nice and hot straight from the oven. Just cut them in half, put your butter, your jam and cream on there, and you're set. And stay tuned for some more recipes coming. I think I'm about to do some basil pesto because we have a lot of basil growing in the garden out there. So I'm just going to get some of that made into pesto, either for gifts or to chuck in the freezer for an easy meal. Not sure what yet, but depending on how much I make, if I've got enough to do some into some jars for some gifts, then I'll do that. Otherwise, they'll go into the freezer for some meals like pesto chicken pasta or anything like that. So here's one. You can still steaming. I just couldn't wait. I couldn't resist and wait to do one, so I'm just going to chuck some butter on. Give it a go. Yummy. Bit of butter, bit of jam. Yum. Mmm. So good. So good, honestly. Such a good snack and a good good thing to share around. Get some jam and cream on there. Perfect. So easy. So easy. Easy to make for people, for friends coming around, anything like that. So easy. Yum. Well, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you get to baking some of these. Well worth it, and double the recipe and put some in the freezer. It's always good to have some on hand for, you never know what's going to pop up. Enjoy.